Isn't bad wrestling so bad? But don't you just want to talk about it and make it feel good? Don't you just want to be a more positive person? Don't you just wish that you could look at some bad wrestling or a bad time and give it some praise? That's what this series is for. Hello and welcome to Sam's on Wrestling, and this is the See the Good in series. You'll notice that my partner, my advocate, my everything over here, Baby Sam, I have broken! Oh, that's sneeze!
I'm allergic to bad wrestling.
I thought you were frozen in time because of what we had to talk about. You are not happy that I suggested the greatest Royal Rumble for us to try and see some good in the Royal Rumble.
I've been putting this day off for a long time.
You really hate this.
I am merely doing this to fulfil my contractual obligations.
I'm wearing the shirt because of someone had a special performance.
He was great.
He was great. And I'm sure we'll get to him. But the greatest Royal Rumble. So the reason why, first of all, let's talk about the negatives for a start, just so we can get it clear.
We don't have time.
We do.
Don't have
you know. Normally with the See the Good, we try and take something that's been heavily criticised or maybe given a really bad review, potentially given awards by people like Dave Meltzer and stuff. We've done Kane versus Shane in the past. And we're actually looking at a pay-per-view, which is very rare for us to actually do a pay-per-view. We usually do storylines or a character or whatever. But this pay-per-view was interesting because it was the first ever Saudi show, which obviously came with heavy criticism. They obviously had no women on the show. Do you know how much money they were given for the 10 years? It's still going, the 10 years. Do you know how much it was?
It's like hundreds of millions.
£450 million or dollars is how much they were given. So you're talking $45 million a year to do 2 shows on average.
You can see why they did it.
You can. I would argue WWE was one of the first companies to do it.
Yeah.
And everyone really criticised them. But if you look at it now, the snooker have got one over there. Boxing go there all the time. You know, I reckon there'll be a World Cup there very soon.
No, I think it's the next one.
Most likely after the ones that have been booked in. It's one of those things where they were obviously having heavy criticism. And then the criticism came the fact that this was a glorified house show. There was no connection, and thankfully since then, I would say the Saudi shows have become canon, which is good. The women are now on the show, and do you know what? The crowd is actually good now. I actually think the crowd's very, very good.
Because they weren't for this one.
And arguably, this isn't the worst Saudi show of the year. Crown Jewel immediately follows this later in the year, and that's the bad one. That one would be bad, and we might have to see the good in that one day, but we thought we would start with one, because it's January, it's Royal Rumble season, and we thought we would talk about the greatest Royal Rumble. So, let's kind of maybe talk about it in order, shall we go? We'll try and go in order, sort of thing, and you can jump in if things are good, because there's not a lot of great things on here. But you know what? I'm going to say this already before we get going. This actually is way better than me and you remember. I think the negativity going into it, and then coming out going, well, what a waste of time.
It was.
And do you know what? I'm going to say this now. If you took the greatest Royal Rumble away, right, and put a main event in there somewhere, this is all right, you know. It's the greatest Royal Rumble that drops it down, the 50-man Royal Rumble.
I think, and I'm already yawning, it's. I go back to the thing of, at the time, you had John Cena, Triple H in a really pointless match. I think that's the opener, isn't it?
We'll get to that.
Yeah, I just think nothing happened of any consequence.
That is the negative. We're seeing the good, Sam. We're seeing the good. You're meant to talk positively.
You're making me talk about a bad thing.
Sam, it's see the good. We're not here to criticise Greatest Rumble. That's a given, right? So we're here to be positive. So do you want me to get started?
Yeah, I'll just have a moment.
So first of all, I think the first thing you have to talk about, the set is incredible.
Yeah.
It looks spectacular. It's a wonderful stadium. It really is a wonderful arena. And they set it up in such a way where it doesn't feel like it's overpopulated. It's 60,000 people there. How many of those at the time were fans, brought in, asked, that sort of thing? Though as far as I'm aware, it seems to be fans now. So you have to start somewhere, and it looks great.
More people go to Saudi now for these events. It's become more of a done thing.
People travel
know
now.
where to go.
Celebrities travel.
Infrastructure now, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Infrastructure's actually true. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that.
But it looks spectacular when you see images of it from different views. You go, wow, that actually looks amazing. Like it will get a WrestleMania. I'm pretty certain that we will have a WrestleMania Saudi. And in the grand scheme of things, I generally don't care about it. I do mind, but I don't care. Like I mind because it's like, should they? Do they? But everyone's getting it anyway. I mean, golf have got their own tour now, so it's like you might as well just go, oh, hey, have a WrestleMania and you can call it whatever and do it. But at least you know it will look spectacular at the very least.
Yeah, it's a good set. I can give them that. I'm really struggling.
I know
in my
you
soul
are.
here.
Yeah, it's
I'm
fine.
trying.
But another thing is when you watch it properly, is the theme music for this is amazing.
I didn't.
Whoever had done the theme music, it's fantastic. It really is. Generally, go and find the theme song for the Greatest Royal Rumble. It's actually excellent, and I don't think music gets talked about enough because obviously they bring in bands. This is really, really good. So then the show starts, and we've got Cena Triple H. It's not a good match. It's the most house showy, but it's the first time in 8 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And the good thing you can take away from this match, Sam, is Triple H does a better 5-knuckle shuffle than John Cena.
It's true.
Yeah.
And you know what else as well? I think this might be Cena's last one-on-one victory to date. I think it might be. I think he's got a few tags.
That's the thing is we're now into the realms of his final year this year, so it'd be really exciting because this is filmed before he's actually had any matches. Just for a clarification, this is at the beginning of January, so we haven't actually. Cena's not been booked in for anything yet, as for us, so we haven't seen it yet. But so you're absolutely right. I'm trying to think if he's had a one-on-one win.
I really think it is.
Because he's lost to Austin Theory, Solo Sikoa, and all that lot.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it is, I suppose, a monumental thing. He's going to win some.
You'd hope.
Is he winning the title this year?
I think I'd like him to.
I think I would like him to as well. I would like to have someone out their own 17. Get rid of Flair. Talking about it. And this is when you discover the crowd are hot. And you go, oh, maybe you weren't brought in. They are loud. At first.
Yeah. Not for the Rumble. Not for the Rumble.
But you have to give them credit. They are excited. I don't know if they're excited because they don't know what they expect. I don't know if it's new or excited. But fair play to them. They were up there. Then we actually get a match where two people actually tried. It's Cedric Callisto.
What a weird match to have.
Well, it's the Cruiserweight Championship
match.
match. And the match is cruiserweighty, it's fine. But I tell you what, the good thing about this match, if you ever want to go and watch anything about it, watch the finish of this. Do you remember the finish? Selena Del Sol into the lumbar check.
Excellent.
It's fantastic. You sit there and go, that's the move of the night. And it's the moment of the night. And it comes from a cruiserweight match, which, let's be honest, were throwaways by this point anyway. No one cared. Yeah. But I always used to like Cedric. He can never build a story. But his match is always, that lumbar checks are superb.
I'd love to feud with Stars actually for the US title back in the day. Yeah.
You know. And that was actually a really good move. And I think we sometimes you have to talk about matches that are a bit meh. The match was meh, but that was wow. They didn't seem to have great chemistry. I always find that with Callisto. Sometimes he can go a bit too quick. I always think, but yeah, that catch of Selena Sol into lumbar check, superb.
Yeah.
And then do you remember what happened next? We had Jinder Mahal Jeff.
Oh, the Whisper in the Wind.
That's what I've got written down.
The Whisper in the Wind.
He sells it. It's so funny.
I'll never understand what's gone through his head 3 seconds after he's seen Jeff hit the deck. Oh, I know what I'll do to cover up this botch. Bang!
And that's how people have got rose-tinted glasses over Jinder, and people have gone, "You were wasted by WWE," and he literally goes, "I was given a WWE title reign. How was I wasted?" And he seems really honest and respectful, and I love that. However, learn to cover when things go wrong. It's fine. I know you were meant to be hit by it, but just get him into a headlock.
Jeff should have looked.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, the Whispering Wind is very difficult. Jinder's out of position.
He is out of position, but then he makes it so much worse. It's hilarious. That is funny. And that's what I'll refer to later, especially in the Rumble. It's that bad. It is quite funny.
It does become funny. This show.
It becomes a
meme.
I
watched this show live. Did you?
I watched it live, and I regretted every moment.
I did watch it live.
Oh.
I tell you what. Then we follow it with match of the night. Thankfully, there is actually a match that you can hold on to, and it's the Fatal 4-Way Ladder match. It's superb. It's such a good match. Honestly, when they do the best, let's say we did our top 10 Saudi matches, this goes into it. It's really good. Samoa Joe shows he is awesome. He is the star of this. He does so much heavy lifting. But the thing I want to go is I love the end of this ladder match. It's one of my favourite ladder match endings ever. You got Finn is nearly winning. He's there. And then Seth runs up really fast and unhooks it. There's no delay or anything. He just goes, pelt, 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 unhook, and beats Finn in a race, effectively. Finn's going up, Seth pelt, grab. And you're like, it's the quickest unhook in history. No one's ever done that before. Yeah. Why has no one ever... And, this is why I love the ladder match from WrestleMania 31. Because they all pelted up the ladder. They're literally, there's no, I'm climbing a ladder. Oh, no, they're straight up. And that's why I love this. It's actually really good. So it's actually another good spot comes from this match comes from this pay-per-view, and I tell you what, that ladder match is actually really good. Samoa Joe is fantastic. It's worth actually a watch. Weirdly, I would actually recommend that ladder match. It's actually really, really, really good. Then we have an Undertaker versus Rusev match.
Casket match. Well, it was going to be Jericho.
No, it was going to be Rusev.
And then it was going to be
Jericho because Rusev was scared. Lana said he was scared. And then it went back to Rusev.
Because they essentially wanted Yokozuna, which they got later on, which we'll get to.
It was weird. I mean, always, if you're going to see the good, yay, Rusev. Yay! And what a great opportunity for him.
I thought that.
Get to be with The Undertaker, that was great.
Yeah.
The match was fine. The thing I remember the most is when Undertaker's going to go close the casket. I'll do it again. It just completely whiffs it, completely misses, and you're like a cat pouring. You're like, oh, whoops. It's really... But then they realise, and then you sit down at this point and you go, hang on a minute, we've got Cena versus Triple H, then a ladder match, Fatal 4-Way ladder match, then a casket match with The Undertaker. You can't say they didn't throw stuff
they tried
on this show.
But it is just a pure live show with no consequence.
And that was the problem, is it didn't have any consequence. So this fair play, this show has gimmick matches. It's not like there's nothing to watch. Because then we move into another gimmick match. The steel cage between Roman and Brock.
Yeah,
and another bad match between the two.
Yeah.
But I like the finish. I think it's a clever finish.
It's a good finish. The feet
It doesn't work.
No.
And sometimes you have to go, didn't work, whatever. Roman technically has won the match.
He did win.
But I think, it was the 5th spear in the match.
That's what they did. They just spammed finishes, Brock.
Well, that's all Brock can do at this point, is spam finishes. That's why their last man standing match is excellent, because they didn't do that at SummerSlam. But Roman actually hits the floor first. Roman spikes himself as well. But I liked it. I like the finish. Sometimes a finish doesn't work, but you have to go, I admire the idea. I've never seen a finish where they both go through this side of a cage to end a match. We've had people dive through cages to win, be thrown through them and stuff like that. You think Big Show with Stone Cold. You think Lashley on Umaga went through. That was great. Brilliant. And obviously JBL with the Big Show as well. So, I liked it. I actually like this. I think it's a good ending.
It's a good ending.
Doesn't work, but
no, it's a nice idea. I just was so sick of Roman and Brock.
Can I just throw out that I would argue that was their second ever best match at that point.
Yeah, I just think.
In fact, it was their second best match until SummerSlam 23.
I think just at the time I just didn't care, and I was just so sick of Brock having it, but also didn't want Roman to win it, and I was so tired of this feud being stretched out. And then because of that finish, you knew, it's going to SummerSlam,
which it did, and then Roman finally
way
won.
Too late anyway, and none of us wanted him to, and it was Braun's time ultimately around this neck of the woods. So it was just bad.
We then move in to the greatest Royal Rumble. To call something the greatest really is. It's like, do you remember when Edge and Orton?
That's literally what just came to mind.
The greatest wrestling match. I went, okay, lads. First of all, already this won't, even if they have a 5 million star match. You are going to sit there and go, it's clearly not, though. Even if it is, you wouldn't. And then 2, why would you put that on Edge and Orton?
Who just had a stinker at Mania.
They did. And then not just that, they're going, these two have always been great wrestlers. But I wouldn't put them down as 5-star level wrestlers. Edge more than Orton. But Edge has to have the opponent,
yes,
I think.
They never have the chemistry, those
And this is an old Edge coming back. And you're there going, if Brian was in the match, or an Angle was in the match, or Shawn, I would understand you putting that moniker, but putting this, he did start putting monikers, Vince, at this point. He started putting random monikers on stuff. It was really odd.
Also, from a kayfabe perspective, makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
You can't.
Why would you say something's going to be great? Why happens if it ends in 90 seconds?
Yeah, which it could.
Just RKO out of nowhere and stuff like that.
Well, that'd have been hilarious, actually.
I would have loved that.
Yeah.
What do you think then generally about the greatest Royal Rumble as an idea before it got started? What were you thinking going into it? Because you realised all the stars have already been in a match.
Yeah, so before the Rumble.
Yeah, so before the Rumble is started, it's even before the pay-per-view, what were you thinking going into this Rumble? Because a Rumble outside of Rumble time felt like sacrilegious to me.
It did. I at least thought as a novelty, having a 50-man Rumble is interesting. It's one of those things you did as a kid with your wrestling figures.
Yes,
you managed to have 50. You'd put them all together and just do a 50-man.
You never did 30, you just did all anyway.
And I was like, you know what? It's interesting. Let's just, see what happens. But I hated the fact they were going to Saudi at the time and all that stuff. And I didn't like that it was just sacrificing character continuity for a random money grab, and it was that transparent, and yada yada. So I didn't like a lot of things around it at the time. I'm more come around to it now. But going into it, I just thought, my thing was, what's the point? Because they don't get anything. He gets this weird like title belt. And
he's still the longest reigning champion in history.
He's never lost. He's never.
And the trophy got broken by Drew McIntyre at some point as well. I think they knocked into it, and the trophy fell down, and because it was clearly made of paper, it just disintegrated.
So I wasn't that optimistic going into it, and I was disappointed.
I was worried going into it because I was there going, where are you going to get 50 wrestlers from? Because it wasn't like they were like, if you just went, we're going to do a 50-man Raw, and we go, oh, okay, you've got 50 men. Then you went, there's actually quite a lot of people on the card. And if you start counting them up, like you're going, Undertaker, Rusev, the Fatal 4-Way, Brock, Roman, Cena, Triple H, there's a lot happening there.
I don't understand why they didn't have some of the champions just be in it. Like, you could have Styles as the WWE champion in the Rumble, because it's not for a WrestleMania show. You just have him in there. That would help the star power a little bit. But, yeah, it was... So
the Rumble starts, and obviously you got Daniel Bryan. And I think we can obviously talk about Bryan is the best thing about it. The problem with the Greatest Royal Rumble is it actually has records, because you can't not have a record. If someone Iron Mans, they shouldn't have had Bryan break that record. Because it made the other records hollow, and you have to now go, Daniel Bryan, does Braun Strowman have equal record of elimination? It shouldn't count if you've got a chance with 20 extra men and stuff like that. But Bryan's performance, the fact that he'd been back months, to do that is unbelievable. The fact that they had trust in him to do that, actually.
Yeah, speaks volumes. That is one of my notes, that ultimately Daniel Bryan
tried his heart out.
He really actually tried to make that way. He got chopped to bits.
He was red.
Yeah, which was the only interesting thing, is that, it made it look like he's actually going through a grueling Royal Rumble, which he was. I also have the fact in here that Kurt Angle and Daniel Bryan were in the same ring.
Yes, that's the one and only time.
The only time that has happened. That is insane. And you'd barely even... There was never a stare down. They never really... I think they touched briefly.
They knew Kurt was nothing at that point.
No, but you could at least, make a thing of it if he's going to be in that.
At the end of the day, they probably could have booked it themselves to do it, to be honest. I doubt they booked a 50-man Rumble, let's be honest. It felt like they hadn't booked it.
Because imagine being a producer for that.
They must have had 2 or 3.
You've got to, but even if you've got 2 or 3, yeah.
Should we talk about bits in it that I will enjoy? For a start, my new favourite wrestler of all time, Hiroki Sumi.
Oh, you mean Yokozuna?
We want Yokozuna
back.
And the Ultimate Warrior. They're dead. No! Okay.
We have this guy, we have Mojo Rawley.
Mojo Rawley.
Yes.
And we've got Hiroki Sumi. Who is he? Has he ever wrestled before? No. I've Googled him. No wrestling credentials, got no wrestling background at all. This bloke's lad.
What a guy.
Just rocks up, somehow goes over the top rope. It's like, what is that? It's Yokozuna, this fat man who's a sumo wrestler. I loved that. He's my favourite wrestler of all time now. He's my boy. I love him. Hiroki Sumi. He's got Sumi in the name. I love it. We discovered another reason why FTR wanted to leave, because Hornswoggle eliminated Dash Wilder.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
I forgot about that.
Hornswoggle returns in the Greatest Royal Rumble.
What a guy.
Yeah.
I think that's funny, though.
We've got Babatunde appears.
Babatunde.
Never been on NXT, let alone WWE. This is in-ring debut, and he's never even been on NXT. Where did he go? Where did Babatunde go?
Who knows?
Where did he go? It was a Babatunde. What happened to him? I actually loved it. It's like, here's Babatunde!
Well, this is the overarching thing.
Who?
Yeah, with this match, it's just the memes that you get. It's literally, this is the wrestling equivalent of The Room. You know when you watch The Room?
God. No, I think that's the one afterwards, but...
Well,
because that's really bad.
I think that's so bad it's not even funny anymore.
Oh, this was funny.
This is actually, you can make this funny. It's watching Cole and Graves trying to get through this. You can tell how bored they are.
Yeah.
And they're trying to somehow make it interesting. It must be a challenge.
They were so bored. I felt sorry for Graves the most, because obviously he was doing colour.
Yeah.
At least Michael can just vaguely talk about what's happening in the ring. Owens yelling at Jericho to go back to Japan. Go back to Japan. No one wants you. I was like,
and he did.
Kevin, I love you. And he did. I think
that's
this is
his last
appearance. Yes, it is.
Last WWE appearance.
Because they just had another US title match. They come back. Jericho might have even won it, I think.
Yeah. It might be 2017.
Yeah, something along those lines. I can't remember. Lashley drops Big Cass on his head.
Oh,
He tries to
he
do the
does do the
suplex, and
suplex
they
to
don't.
Cass
Yeah.
of all people. And
Yeah, it's like you're gonna go fair play. Never mind.
and it's a brainbuster to no brainbusters.
Oh, it's an actual brainbuster.
Yes.
It's a real one, not even a gimmicked one.
No.
I was like, Jesus, fair play to Cass for actually being able to carry on.
He
And he was
second-
the runner-up.
He was the runner-up. He was feuding with Brian. Oh my god.
It ended his career in the end at the WWE. But thankfully, Big Bill, by the way, has had a wonderful resurgence, got himself clean, he looks ripped as anything, and he's having a great little AEW run, even in the Jericho Vortex. He's actually having a lovely little run. I'm actually really happy for him. And we need to talk about the best thing
We do.
on the show. Do you want to mention anyone else before we mention the best thing on the show?
I would like to say I popped for Mark Henry.
Somebody's got to get the head spin. Yes. I did. It took him ages to get
He needed the cart.
Where's
thing.
the little cart for Mark Henry?
But I was happy to see him. That might have been
Is that his last ever match?
might have been his last match as
He
well.
didn't have one for AEW, I don't think.
He might have done a brief Rumble 2019, but I don't think he did. I think that might have been his last
I can't
one.
recall 2019.
So that is all I have to say until you come to the elephant in the room.
What elephant? I don't know what you're on about. That was the end, and then Strowman wins, right? There's nothing else that needs to be discussed.
Possibly could have.
The funny thing about this, pay-per-view is it's a complete waste of time, but it has one of, if not the greatest moment in wrestling history, is Titus O'Neil falling over and sliding under the ring. I don't care who you are, what you are, every single person wet themselves. He was lucky that he didn't clatter into the middle.
So lucky.
He's so lucky for a start, and he just vanishes. It looks like it's almost like you couldn't fake it. Had to be real because you could not gimmick that. It was unbelievable. I laughed for a good 10 minutes, as did Michael Cole. He couldn't stop laughing.
They were asleep, and it woke them up. Oh, it was just brilliant. It was just joy. It went so viral because it's just anyone can relate to that.
We've all been there, but on such a big
there.
stage. Everyone was watching because they wanted to see what a Saudi show was going to be.
And it's I just picture being Titus, right? It's just you run of the mill day. You're going in this little rumble. You're gonna get eliminated soon, whatever. And you're running down, and you slip in front of this 60,000 people, but you go under. I'm just thinking that when you're in there, the darkness. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Like,
where'd you go?
I've done this again. I did it with the bloody barrel of the kegs before. Got to get out.
You have to get out.
He has to crawl backwards and then just go through as if nothing's happened.
Why don't just stay under? I'm out.
I'm doing the Santino spot.
I'm going to go back with Hornswoggle.
Go and win. Yeah, it's tactics. Jerry Lawler tactics. That's hilarious.
It's one of the greatest. If you ever wanted to watch anything from it, it's that. And without this show, Sam, without the Saudi investment, we wouldn't have had the greatest moment in wrestling
£450 million
for a Titus worldwide slide. It's great.
And it was all worth it.
But I will say that Strowman wins, which felt like the only time they gave him something.
That was my last note. At least Strowman finally did a thing.
Yeah.
He won.
I was really happy for him because it felt like they were shafting him every time. It felt like he was all over Raw, and then we got anywhere near Mania. It was like, the other stars now. We have real stars. Go away. And you're like, he could have main evented.
Yeah.
I don't know why Vince never went with the guy who's making the most noise. He just, I said, so, if it wasn't my idea. And you're like, but you've been booking him to make this most noise. So what's your idea?
Yeah, the fact that he was their profile of guy, really massive, muscular. They pushed him. They were like, really.
And he worked on his body so much. He was ripped.
Yeah.
He was in-ring work.
Quick.
Went from being like, if we were doing a power ranking on like a 2 out of 10, to suddenly he could hold a main event level match.
Absolutely. And it's just the ludicrousy to go, they pushed him and were somehow surprised that we actually liked him and it worked.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, well, we didn't really want you to like him this much. We want Roman. And it's like, just go with the momentum for once.
Even if it's for like a month, 2 months, just see what happens. See what happens. And the only time they give him a title, COVID. Where you can't see the response. And you're like, and let's be honest, he wasn't meant to win it. He wasn't meant to be on the show.
Wasn't supposed to, yeah.
Ridiculous. Could you imagine not even meant to be on the show at WrestleMania and then you come back and win the United
Get a call because he was driving some, wasn't it?
He was going to win, had to turn around.
And had to do a U-turn to go and win the world title.
Against Goldberg.
Yeah.
But I would like to finish off though as a fair play with no women on the show, which obviously is a criticism, but with no women, they had 72 wrestlers. And only 2 were questionable and a couple of NXT. And that's impressive.
Yeah.
I actually think if you put 72 people on a card, you've got a decent enough roster. And they were all there. No one skived outside of Sami Zayn because obviously he couldn't go. And the women, obviously. I think that's actually quite impressive to go, you had 72 people on one card. I mean, I think AEW do that on every card, but I was impressed. But so, what do you think, Sam? Now we've had a chat about it. Now we've seen the good in it. We've had a look. We've picked out those moments. What do you think now to the greatest Royal Rumble?
Can I use expletives on this show?
No.
Well,
You can beep yourself.
I shall keep my opinion to myself. I still despise this show, and I despise the fact we have to talk about it. There's some good things in there, but if you made me watch that again, I would confess to anything that I had potentially done. I honestly, if you want information from me, strap me down and maybe watch that pay-per-view again. I'm not a fan of it.
I actually look back and I watched it for the purposes of this show, and actually went, do you know what? It's actually fine. It's a house show. It is a house show, and house shows are fun. If you go to a house show, you have fun, and I don't think you can complain about a house show in the grand scheme of things. I think if you took the politicalness away from it, then you would go, this is a okay show. The Rumbles, I think you need to delete the Rumble. If you delete the Rumble, then actually the show would be fine, I think.
Which is what they end up doing with the Saudi shows.
In the end, yeah. So in the grand scheme of things, this show is actually fine. I think the goodness from it is actually easy to find when you watch it without the bubble of the negativity, which it thoroughly deserved. But generally speaking, I actually don't mind this show.
And I don't mind the Saudi shows now.
They're fine now.
Yeah,
they're fine. As much as I hate still the injustice of everything that happens around it and all that jazz, it's fine. But what do you think about the greatest Royal Rumble? Is there anything you would like us to find the good in that you've been think, yeah, this is bad? Go find some goodness in that. Because we will find it. I will, because I'm positive, he says. Thank you very much for joining. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And we will see you next time to see what's good about the world of bad wrestling and Saudi shows. I slipped!